Welcome to the Everyday Entrepreneur Show. My name is Cameron Ure, a real estate agent, investor, and entrepreneur. This podcast is for the everyday person all the way to the CEO wanting to build, grow, or scale their business to the next level. Our goal is to educate, network, and motivate so all of us can become everyday entrepreneurs. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Everyday Entrepreneur Show. I have Talan with me today. He is the co-owner and CMO of the Streaking app, brand new app that just barely launched February 1st. I'm super excited to go over his journey and how he got to the point he is at today. And so, Talan, thanks for joining us. Tell us a little bit about Streaking and kind of where you guys are at.
Right. It's almost hard to say that word without smiling and thinking of what we usually think of when you hear streaking. And no, we're not talking about running across a football field in the nude. Streaking, we're trying to change the definition. We are changing the definition of streaking is the act of keeping a personal winning streak alive and becoming the person you want to be. So we've all heard of winning streaks in sports. We've all heard of streaks in other aspects like language learning, Duolingo. We see streaks everywhere. But Streaking is the app where it's the central place to house all of your streaks. So I have streaks pertaining to my marriage. I have streaks pertaining to my physical health, language learning. Every area of my life that I want to improve in, I have a streak that I keep alive. So that's Streaking, and we developed an app for people it's the first social platform for self-improvement. So people post about their streaks and what they're doing, and you encourage each other. It's pretty fun.
That's super exciting. Honestly, this is something that I've been looking for, but didn't really know how to put a finger on for a while. It's like I would love to be able to find something where I could keep track of my everyday goals in a way where it was a daily accountability thing for me that I then was sharing with others so they could kind of see where I'm at with stuff. And so tell me a little bit more about how you came about this idea, how it developed, and how you created an app from streaking.
Yeah. So in 2019, so previously to streaking, I owned a video production company and I filmed for clients around the world. And so there was a client, or there wasn't a client, there was a family friend who was having a wedding and they're like, hey, I know you don't do this stuff anymore, but would you film my daughter's wedding? I was like, I'd love to. So I was filming their wedding, and at the luncheon, I sat across the table from Jeff and Jamie Downs. And I knew Jeff and Jamie growing up in Colorado, but I haven't seen them in 10, 15 years. Okay. So I was catching up with them. I didn't know they were going to be here. And I asked them, what have you been up to? And they're like, we've been streaking. And I was like, I have to ask judgment. More. No judgment. Okay. But they're like, no, but we've been writing this book about something we've discovered, and we've been doing research on it for the last 5 years. About streaking, and we have streaks to run and walk every day, and they've been doing it for the last 5 years. They've ran or walked 1 mile every day.
Wow.
And so I was like really intrigued by this, and they said, we'll send you a copy before it's released. And so I went home and I couldn't stop thinking about it. It was something that I was like, this is the coolest. I want to try keeping a streak alive. I've never tried to gamify something like that in my life. So I was super excited to start. So a few months passed, and I reached back out to Jeff and Jamie after reading the book, and I said, I want a part of this. I want to help. I don't even know where this is going. I don't know what can happen. And at this point, there was no discussion of an app. There was just a book and an idea.
Cool.
And so at that moment, they're like, okay, we don't really know what we would do with you. We know you have a great background in marketing and video production and all this stuff, but we don't know what to do. So they said, we'll get back to you. So a month or two passed by. They contact me, guys, okay, let's do this. And so we start working on an app and start prepping for a place where because people were reading this book and they're like, we want an app. We want a place to track the streaks easily, because people were actually going into their notes app on their iPhone and writing 200 and then erasing and then putting 201. And I was that's not going to work. So we started developing an app. And from that moment, 2.5 years ago to just 2 weeks ago, we released the amazing version of the Streaking app, and it turned into this platform for social self-improvement where everyone is connected. And it's not about accountability, it's about celebration. And the streak is really where the accountability comes. It's people wanting to keep the streak alive, and that's where the accountability lies.
That's super cool. So it's more so just the excitement of, hey, this is where I'm at. And because of the fact that you don't want to break your streak, it helps you with the accountability side of things, because it's just like a excitement and celebration of, look how far I've come, you know?
Exactly. And you're totally right with that. Most people confuse it. They switch the community aspect of it's about accountability. And that's couldn't be farther from the truth. In fact, most of the studies you find about community just by being connected to somebody helps you celebrate your achievements, and the celebration of success actually helps you achieve more, rather than the whip of like, hey, you need to keep this alive and someone else telling you to do that. The streak itself is what you're accountable to, and that's a personal accountability, which is much more powerful.
Totally. Yeah. I've experienced that, where you're accountable to somebody else, and it more hurts. It's more painful to be accountability to somebody else, because one, you feel that pressure that's uncomfortable, that almost brings on anxiety and like this stress of like, gosh, I need to do this because somebody else is relying on me, or I've told somebody else I was going to commit to this. Where if it was flipped, where you now have this community that's cheering you on, and you yourself are motivated to keep up with it, that's a whole different psychological ball game, I'm sure.
Completely different ball game.
Yeah, that's incredible. So tell me about the nuts and bolts of the process from going from that conversation of, hey, let's roll, to building out an app. What is that like? What does that process entail for the last 3 years you guys have been working on it?
Yeah, so luckily Jeff and Jamie had a connection with a guy in Idaho named Dave Barr. Okay. And Jeff went to go have lunch with Dave, and he owns a company called Barcode, and they develop apps for Franklin Covey. They develop apps for Marriott. And he was pitching this idea to him of streaking. And he's like, this is so cool. Like, I want in. Yeah. And so brought him in, and he's also an owner in the company, and he and his team have developed the app. Now, the first stages of the app, like what you see now and what you download today, is not what we first developed. Like,
I'm sure.
I think it's just an illusion. Like, it's just an illusion that like it just ends up here and it's just perfect and beautiful.
Totally.
But the first version of the app were like these hexagons that built on each other, and it was just super basic. It was a basic tracking. Yeah. And then we received feedback, and people were, okay, we like this, but this is difficult, and kept reiterating and reiterating. The last version of the app, we found feedback that there were 3 buttons and people didn't know what to touch to complete their streak. And so we're like, wow, missed the mark on that. And the design wasn't that great. And so version 2, it worked, wasn't perfect. We got to a point where I was like, this isn't appealing. This doesn't look, it doesn't function right. And so I have no background in product design or in building workable prototypes of apps. And so about 1.5 years ago, I started staying up until 1, 2 in the morning, learning everything I could about prototyping apps and building workable prototypes in Figma and how to do After Effects and designs and all these animations. And so from there, I started giving the development team all that they needed to make it into what you see today. And so it's just this process, and it goes perfectly along with the idea of streaking. A streak is about doing something laughably simple, but seeing how long you can do that laughably simple thing in a row. It's the idea of the flywheel, the small pushes. Which push led to the flywheel spinning? Was it the first? Was it the thousandth? What, the 10,000th?
Yeah.
It's all the pushes accumulated together. And so when you look at the building of streaking, it's still in this early stages, but it's crazy to see where we are now, where we were 3 years ago and where we are now.
Yeah. It's the incredible correlation to almost the compound effect, where it's like it could have started on day one, but the fact that it's built since day one is you're just growing and growing every single day after that, especially since the streaking side of things is so cool when you think about it, because you don't need to do something hard. And especially from a business standpoint, that's the whole point of it. A lot of people get overwhelmed with like, I have so much to do. Like, how am I ever going to create this? How am I ever going to start this company I want to start? When in reality, it's just pick 5 simple things, or 2 or 1 simple thing, and just do it for as many days straight as you possibly can. And within a short amount of time, you're going to look up and be like, holy cow, how did I get here? Like, it's insane. And so tell me some examples of popular quote unquote streaks that people do, or some of yours, or what success people have been having?
So what's really cool right now is on the new app, there's a page called the Discover page, and it's the streaks completed in real time. And so you can go through of all the streaks completed in real time and see how many were completed today. So some really popular ones, everyone always starts off with the physical fitness streak, something around their health. It's just where everyone immediately goes, and they want to, people want to be consistent in that area, and they find it sometimes difficult to do so. So that's the first area. But we found a ton of people have reading streaks, to read at least one paragraph from a book every day.
I love that.
And that's awesome. My favorite streak. It's at 922 days where I've read every single day. Yeah. And so what's crazy about this though, is my streak is one paragraph, at least one paragraph. And that's where I count it. However, I have read more books in this 922 days than I have the previous 7 years.
Oh, I can't imagine, because I'm sure just that one paragraph, you sit down and then read 10 pages. Yep.
But on the days where I feel it's 2 a.m., I just got done with work, I'm tired.
Yeah.
I still make the decision whether I'm going to do the laughably simple thing and keep my streak alive. Because imagine if I made it ridiculously hard. I have to read 10 pages every day.
Yeah.
On the days where I'm sick, on the days where I'm going to bed at 2, I'm going to be like, no, not today.
Yeah, it's not happening.
But that's not the point of streaking. The point is, how long can you keep your streak alive? And you want to set yourself up for success, not for failure. So that's one of my favorite streaks. Someone has a make the bed streak, brush teeth every morning. Someone has 10 squats every day, get cold, ice baths. It's a very popular one right now. Excuse me.
Yep.
Someone has put out the yoga mat, study 5 new foreign language words a day. And so I can get lost in just going through what people are using streaking for, because it can just be used for whatever you want to improve in.
No, that's so fun. That's really cool. And it gives you ideas where like, I never even thought about how studying 5 foreign language words a day. Imagine if you did that for 5 years. Like you would know a crazy amount of, you'd probably be somewhat fluent in a random language. Like I don't even know what the fuck would be.
That's my newest streak, is to open Duolingo once every day. And I've done it for 26 days now. We went to an Italian restaurant for my birthday earlier this month with my wife, and the whole staff, they're all from Italy. And he's like, "Do you speak Italian?" I was like, "No." He's like, "Your pronunciation is like perfect." And I was yes, I'm like 20 days into this. This is amazing. And it's amazing when
2 years from now, that's so cool.
Right. So what we have to understand though, as business owners, entrepreneurs, is you have to be solving a problem. There has to be some problem that you're solving. And so we were looking at, what problem are we solving with streaking? And there's a few things. People right now in our society are obsessed with intensity, obsessed with it. Like go big, go home, big, bold, beautiful. You see the people walking around with no legs and giant chests. Yeah. We're obsessed with intensity, and it's just causing us not to be well balanced.
Yeah.
Another issue is people have a fascination with automation and habits. And what we have found is that none of these things will ever become habitual. They will never become automatic. Yeah. I have been doing things for 1,000+ days, and every single day, I wish I could just end up at the gym. I wish that I just found myself on the couch reading without any thought.
Right.
But that's not how it works. It's all about intention. And so we've found these 2 areas of people being obsessed with intensity and obsessed with automation. We're like, we have to help people in a different way with simple intentionality. And that's what streaking is. So there are 3 laws to be successful in streaking. And this was founded by Jeff and Jamie Downs in the book. If you want to set up successful streaks, law number 1, you have to make your streak laughably simple. So think, on my hardest day, can I do this? And I know the urge is there to level up, but it's not a goal. This is your foundation. It's what you never go beneath. Gotcha. So it's different from a goal. This is your foundation. So make it laughably simple. 2, law number 2 is no record, no streak. If you don't have a record of how long you've been doing something, you don't have a streak. That's why in sports, they know exactly how many days or how many games they've won in a row. You know, Cal Ripken Jr., how many games in a row did he play? There's always a record. And so we made it really easy for people to keep that. And law number 3 is create or join a streaking community. And what this, like we've discussed, is this is not about accountability. It's about celebrating. We're all trying to do these really laughably simple things and see how long we can keep them alive. And we want to celebrate each other. So as long as you do those 3 things, you'll be successful in whatever area you want to apply streaking to. So whether that's connecting with one new person on LinkedIn every day, whether that's something with starting a new business, learning a new skill, finding a passion of yours, you apply streaking to get there.
That's so cool. What is, because for me, my brain automatically hops to the intensity side of things that you talked about, where I'm like, this is super cool. I can create a couple laughably simple things that I could do on a daily basis, but I'm probably going to create 30 of them. But that's overwhelming, and that gets to the point where the intensity is too much. Do you have an idea of where the limit is with how many streaks you can be working on a daily basis?
I love this question. It's something we get whenever we do keynotes for people and companies. They're like, okay, how many streaks do you have? First, I want to back this up. If you've never been to the gym before and you go and try to max out 225 pounds on bench, you're probably going to fail. Your muscles aren't developed to do that yet.
Yeah.
There is a similar muscle that isn't focused on in personal development, and we call it the consistency muscle. This muscle is very fatigued in society. We stick with things for a short amount of time. We do intensity, but we can't stick with things.
Yeah.
So what we recommend for people is to start with 1 or 2 streaks. And in the book, it says 1 streak for 100 days. Focus on one thing.
Okay.
However, I did this when I first started out. I did 1 streak for 100 days. On day 100, I added 4 more. I was ready. I was so excited to start. People can do more. But what I would caution against, though, is we see the laughably simple streak, and then we want to supplement it with, like you said, 10 to 20 to 30 more, and that then creates the intensity. We're not used to keeping a streak alive. It takes a little bit of momentum. It takes a little bit of practice to get used to keeping a streak alive. And so I'd recommend with starting 1, 2, 3 streaks, and because a common failure is people start with 10 and then they're like, it doesn't work. I'm like, you did intensity. It's not about intensity. You did too much all at once. Remember, you're going to be keeping the streak alive today, tomorrow, the next day, and you're going to be okay. You're going to keep going. Now, there's not just daily streaks. You can do weekly streaks. Let's say you don't want to do something every day. You can say, I want to keep this streak alive, and I want to do it 3 times a week. And it becomes, how many weeks in a row can you keep that streak alive?
Cool. Okay, so there's ways to break it up where it's like, if you didn't want to do something every single day, you could stagger it out every other day or whatever it may be. And as long as you did that, you check the week off and it's still a success.
And keep in mind, consistency and laughably simple is different to everyone. There's somebody on our app who has a daily cold plunge streak to go and sit in an ice bath. For me, that wouldn't be laughably simple for me. It'd probably be a certain amount of times a week.
Yeah.
But that's okay. For some people, that is laughably simple. But for me, that's not laughably simple. Everyone is on a different plane, and that's what's beautiful about it, is we're all trying to improve. We're not competing against anyone.
For sure.
You're just improving yourself.
Yeah. And this is what I love about this, is because in today's society, there's so much competition. There's so much comparison. There's so much just overwhelming urge or desire to be better than the person next to you, which is just a toxic habit to get into. When in reality, if we can just focus on ourselves and improving the 1% every single day, that's going to result in us being a completely different person in a year, 2, 5, 10 years down the road. And that's why this idea is so incredible, and I love it, is because imagine if everybody was focusing on 3 things that they could do every single day to improve their life on a consistent basis. How would that change society? It would absolutely revolutionize the way people go about their days. And it's just the fact that people can't find, well, now they can, but they didn't have the resources to improve themselves because they were trying to, like you said earlier, okay, I'm going to create the habit. I'm going to sit down and read a book for 10 pages every single day, or I'm going to go to the gym every single day. It's like, it doesn't work like that. You can try, but the habit doesn't form. It's going to be a challenge every single day. You just have to work at it. And that's why streaking.
You're totally right. And it's really important. I think it's really important for people to understand the differences between the tools we've been used to. Like, for instance, a goal. A goal is something, goals are amazing, but you only can focus on one maybe 2 goals at a time because they take a lot of your energy. And a goal is something that has as a start line, a finish line, and you have to do it by a deadline. We think of like a marathon, right? And so you have to run it in this time. You want to finish it by this thing. That's a goal. A habit is something, as many people have read James Clear's book on Atomic Habits. His definition of a habit is something repeated enough times to become automatic. Now, the difference with a streak and streaking is there's no end date. It's not a goal. This is who you want to become. There's not going to be a moment where I am now this. I am now kind. And it doesn't work. It's ingrained with who you want to be. So there's no end date. And that sometimes scares people, but you can end your streak whenever you want. You can retire it. You can say, this has served its purpose for me. I'm going to go in a different direction. That's the difference between a streak and a goal. What's the difference between a streak and a habit? A streak will never become automatic. Now, habits fall out of streaks. If I have a streak to write every day, how I write will become a habit. If I have a streak to run a mile every day, how I run will become habitual. I won't have to think about it. But the activity itself never becomes automatic. It's always something that has choice, no matter how many days in a row. What we found through our studies is that many people get discouraged when they reach day 21, when they reach day 76, or whatever milestone people say a habit forms. And they don't see a difference between day 76 and day 77. They're like, how do I know a habit's formed? The truth is, habits don't form in areas of self-improvement. Habits form in the things like motor skills, how you do things, how you tie your shoes, how you fold your arms. You don't have to think about it. But the activity of improvement is always something that has to be intentional, and that's where the streak comes in to help. And it's not attached to routines. Routines, if you go on vacation, I have a make my bed streak. I have never made my bed on vacation until I had the streak. And it's because usually these things are attached with routines, but what I love about my streaks is that they're agnostic. They're independent of my routine. It doesn't matter if I didn't do it in the morning. People say you have to work out in the morning or do this at this time. I don't care about any of that. All that matters is if I actually did the activity.
Just do it.
Doesn't matter when, doesn't matter how.
So that's so interesting because a lot of people think, okay, if I can run for 21 days straight or however long, I'm going to be in the habit of running. When in reality, it's like, no, if you woke up that day and you sat there, you wouldn't just go running like as if it were just instinctual.
Right. We wish, like we can wish that happened, but
but no, you got to put your running shoes on and go. And that's intentional. And you're making the decision to do that. And so I also like how you were saying it doesn't matter when, it just matters as long as you get it done. And so I have a question regarding that. Do you have a rule where it's open eyes to closed eyes? So say somebody's up until 3 a.m. Is it midnight? What's the rule? What breaks a streak?
You set the time in the app when your streaks reset. I rarely go to bed before midnight. Rarely. And so my streaks reset at 3 a.m. Okay. And so apps like Duolingo are like midnight. That's the cutoff. We allow the person to say it's standard, I think, at 1 a.m. with everyone downloading the app is when it resets, but you can change it to what time you want yours to reset.
Gotcha. Cool. So if you have some night owl that likes to work out at 3 a.m. in the morning, they can do whatever they want.
They can still do it. Yeah.
That's cool.
And
awesome.
Because really the app is meant not to pigeonhole you into something. It's meant to be your tool that you use to improve. We want everyone, like you said, we have seen more people post unreal stories of successes because of keeping a streak alive. In fact, someone posted recently about how they found their thought to be dead grandfather because of their streak. Now they were adopted. Their streak was to simply open a family history app. This is a woman. She's like, I don't know much about my family. I was adopted. I want to learn more about where I come from. She opened the app on day 234. She ends up finding something of her grandfather, and there was no death date on the tombstone or on the records or anything.
Yeah.
Ends up finding out he's still alive, and they reconnect.
No way.
And it's from a streak. You never know the breakthrough, the moment. Because the truth is there will be a breakthrough. There's going to be a moment where something happens. You just can't ever anticipate or predict the day that it happens. You just have to keep the streak alive, and it'll eventually come. So she found her thought to be dead grandfather, reconnected with him.
Oh my
from
gosh.
Her streak.
That's insane.
And that's what you're saying is like, this is a powerful thing, because one thing is, how do you set a goal around becoming a kind person, the intangibles of life, the things that you can't really measure. Well, that's what we've seen with people. They're setting streaks around, how do I become a kind person? Well, a kind person, they probably compliment somebody every day or send a thoughtful message. Yeah. So that's the streak that they employ. And they say, that's how I know I'm becoming the person that I want to be, is because I'm keeping the streak alive. And that person who is kind does these types of things.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. This is formulating my ideas around consistency, because in business or in any type of success, consistency is the number one secret sauce to achieving anything in life. I'm convinced of it. And if you do it on a consistent basis and never change your habit or change your streak, you will eventually get there. Doesn't matter where you're going, but if you're consistent with it, you will change yourself regardless. And that's why with a streak, this is giving people the platform and ability to now put that into action in their life, where it's in front of them on our smartphones and is a reminder. And so within the app, what other features are there for people to succeed? Are there reminders? Are there what other things do people use within the app?
Great question. So there are reminders. You can set reminders for any streak that you create. There's also the ability to adopt streaks from others, which I think is really cool. You see something that you like, you see somebody post about, you can click adopt and it adds it right into your streak. There's also a learn page where we teach the tips and tricks of streaking, because this is new. This is something people have never done before. And like you said, consistency is the secret sauce to success.
Yeah.
However, when we think consistency, we think intensity. We think that's intense to do something that long. But that's where it's important to keep law number one, make it laughably simple, because it's not about the intensity, it's about the consistency. So we have this great learn page that gives people the tips and tricks, learning how to streak and all that stuff. But the one I'm most excited about is what we just introduced on February 1st is communities. What this allows people to do is to form and create communities around whatever they would care to improve in. So we had somebody create a community called Streaking with Jenna. This was recently featured on the Today Show. And her thing is to read every day. And so we created a community on the app. And what that does is the creator of that community can say, here are all the recommended streaks that I recommend you adopt. And you can see who has adopted those streaks, and you can see what streak length everyone is on. So it's a place where you can post to each other, where you can see who has adopted your streaks, who is improving, and you can have this place to improve all together within kind of your private own area, which I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, no. And so within that community, what type of posts are being made? Are you able to write out a post with pictures, or is it similar to a Facebook or Instagram type platform, or what does it entail for a community or group like that?
So you can do photos, videos, or text, but it's in the same format as how you scroll on Reels and TikTok. So that's how it is. So it's mostly people are posting videos. They're posting, we call it proofs. So every time you complete your streak, a little button says post proof. And so people like to post their proof that they did it today, and just everyone's commenting saying, congratulations, good work.
So it's more like an authentic video where you post a proof. It's not like some edited video reel you'll see on Instagram or TikTok. It's more just like a kind of be-real type format.
Yep. And some people you can upload your own stuff. So there's a creator on the app who does ice baths every day, and he does really high-end content. Majority though is people posting the simple proof that they kept their streak alive, the simple, get it to encourage each other. And it's kind of surprising. We didn't anticipate this, that it would be such an encouraging community where, and maybe we're in the early stages and we're naive to, maybe the trolls in the future, but it is a certainty that there is a power and positivity on this app. And we didn't expect that happening at all.
No, that's super exciting and cool how there's this community of people just wanting to improve, wanting to better themselves, and wanting to support others in those same areas that they want to get better at. And the community aspect to it is very creative, where people can adopt the same streak and work together towards the same goal. And I think the world just needs more of that. I think there's just so much negativity of I'm better than you, or I'm doing more than you, when it should be, let's work together to get to the same place, because this world is hard enough. Our day-to-day challenges are already challenging, and streaking just gives a place for people to improve together. And that's what I love about it. I mean, this is something really cool. So tell me about the future goals of the streaking app, where you guys are headed, what your plans are, what's the business vision at the moment.
So we want to help billions of people improve their lives through consistency. That's what we're trying to do. And we've found a way through streaking. How fun is it to say, hey, you want to become a streaker with me? Like, totally. Come on. It's an easy invitation. It makes it more consumable. So we are business to consumer. But what we've noticed is when you see someone set a streak, they are saying, you practically are seeing into their inner soul of what they care about. Yeah. We often on social media see only the exteriors of people. We see the achievements. We don't see the inner workings of how people get there. Yeah. And what we've noticed with streaking is that when someone sets a streak, this is something deeply rooted in who they want to be and who they want to become. So important enough that they're going to do it every day or every week or every month. Yeah. And so in the future, what we want to do is we're going to be introducing advertising onto the streaking app, but it's different in the sense of it's not random advertisements. These are advertisements that you'd be presented with that align with the person you want to become. So you would see products to assist you in your streaks. If you are a runner, you would receive ads for running gear. You'd receive things to assist you in keeping your streak alive. And then companies are going to find that very valuable because they're advertising to active people who are doing something in their life, not just someone scrolling through and being a passive participant. Totally. So that's where we're heading with streaking, is to head to that place to match people with the correct things to improve their lives with the right products. Yeah.
The targeting with that is very enticing, just because the community and type of person will be exactly those type of companies, direct consumer, and those people aren't going to complain about that type of ad because it's assisting in hitting their goal. It's like, oh yeah, this is something that actually is useful for me because I care about this. Yeah, I care about this. This is something important to me, not like some random ad about something I don't care about, And so
100%.
That's incredible. When is this next couple of years, next couple of months? I mean, when do you think these type of developments will be released?
It's a chicken and the egg situation. It's what came first, the advertisements or the users, So we're trying to balance both, and really we're focused on making the user experience so incredible that people want to invite their other people to come in and be streaking with them, to form communities. Totally. Another aspect that we're pursuing is we look to be a competitor of sorts to Patreon, where people, creators, coaches, organizations can have a subscription type of community to access their content and their community and their recommended streaks. Yeah. So kind of proprietary content that they teach, they'd be able to charge a subscription to the people who want to be in that community. And we always plan on making this app free for everyone to use. We want this is something that will change the world, because if everyone had a streak to improve one thing in their life every day, we'd just be living in a very different world.
Yeah. Holy cow. That is for sure. Incredible. That's amazing. I think this is something that once people know what it is and learn what it's about, they would be foolish not to use it. It's kind of one of those products that it's a no-brainer to improve your life. It's something that if you truly want to build a habit around, this is the tool to make it happen. And so for those that are listening, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's the streaking app on pretty much any type of downloadable platform, Apple, Android, whatever it may be, that you'll find it under the streaking app, correct?
Yeah. So if you even type in streaking, we should be the first to come up. But if you want to go to our website to learn more, it'd be thestreakingapp.com. Okay,
perfect. And then the book regarding streaking, what is the title of that? Is it streaking? What's...
It's streaking, and the long subtitle was the simple practice of conscious, consistent actions that create life-changing results. So remember that word for word. No, you can just type in streaking on Amazon and it will come up. And it's really something that has helped me. I didn't start my official streak of my longest streak is to break a sweat every day. I noticed that when I break a sweat, I'm a happier person. I feel better about myself.
Yeah.
And it's not really about my physical fitness. It's simply about being a happier person. So I set that 1,026 days ago.
That is amazing.
And it started after reading the book. And that's what inspired me to hear kind of it's the ins and outs of streaking. It's the stuff that if you've enjoyed listening to the nuances in this conversation, the book would be a really good way to go. And that's found on Amazon.
Okay, perfect. So there's multiple resources out there for people to jump into the streaking world, get into the community, and really start to streak, honestly, get after it and build a habit. And so, Talan, thank you so much for hopping on this episode of the Everyday Entrepreneur Show. I am excited to follow this journey. I'm downloading the app after this. I'm going to start my streaks. I'm excited to.
You're a streaker.
100%. I've been converted. And so I appreciate it. Thank you so much. And we'll catch you on the next episode of the Everyday Entrepreneur Show.